Well, welcome back to the Unapologetic Podcast with kind of a special episode because we've got a big day coming up this coming week, SBU Giving Day. And to help us talk through that is our Vice President for Advancement, Leon Wirth. Leon, thanks for being on for this episode.
Great to be here.
I know.
Thanks,
you might be on the you're on the upper end of guests appearances on the podcast so far. So
I think this is my third appearance.
That might be the number one. That might even be more than Dr. Nelson.
The Three Timers Club, is that what they call it on SNL? The five Timers Club or something like that.
We'll have to keep a tally or a leaderboard.
There we go
for that. But yeah, thanks for being on with us to talk through this. Giving Day is a huge part of our day, and we also just wanted to talk through some updates on giving in general, the alumni work that you all are doing, and then some updates on my end from the enrollment side, some things we're actually going to try to do from the admissions side to pair with Giving Day. So I think lots of fun things to share, but we do want to get back into a routine of icebreakers. I haven't had one in a couple of episodes, and Jonathan always wants to talk about college basketball, but I think you and I both, more so than maybe others, are baseball fans.
Big baseball fan.
And it's almost opening day. And so as you're thinking about baseball, who's your team? I know who it is, but for those who don't, who's your team and what are you looking forward to?
Grew up in St. Louis, so of course, St. Louis Cardinals. I bleed Cardinal red. And I have to admit, this is not maybe the greatest year to be excited about baseball in St. Louis because we're in kind of a rebuild mode. But we have some great new leadership at the St. Louis Cardinals that I'm excited to see
the GM
what they're doing.
Is Chaim Bloom.
That's right.
My team is the Rays, Tampa Bay Rays, and Chaim was a big part of them becoming who they are.
That's right. So
he didn't do as great in Boston when he was the GM there.
His hand was kind of forced to do some really unpopular things.
So you feel good about him coming in.
But so far, I mean, we have, I think, 20 top players in our farm system now. Our farm system has been completely revolutionized. And, you know, when you come from a baseball tradition like the Cardinals, where when I was 12 years old, they won the World Series against the Milwaukee Brewers, who were in the American League at the time. And of course, that set me on a trajectory of like love for baseball and everything. And, you know, we've already celebrated multiple World Series appearances and World Series championships in my lifetime, which I'm incredibly grateful for. We've got a little bit of a hill to climb, but he's bringing in some really exciting players. And I think this is going to be one of those years that's going to be exciting for player development more than for overall results. But you have to have that core player development in order to sustain winning over time, which we've really enjoyed a lot of that success over the years. So I'm actually kind of excited to see what some of those younger players are able to do this year.
I was joking with you this week of their fully embodying the show me state mentality.
Yes.
Like I'm sure Cardinals fans like, hey, show me what you got this year because we don't really know what we got.
That is true. Yes.
I guess the Rays are a little bit too. And last year was a weird year for Rays fans because they had to play all their games at the Yankees minor league stadium in Tampa because the Tropicana field was destroyed by a hurricane.
Right.
So now they're back in the Trop this year, but they, as always, traded away some of their big name players, and they've got some new young guys coming in. But Junior Caminero is one of the best players in baseball already.
Yes.
A young guy.
Very exciting.
I do miss. I'm always thankful for the Cardinals for giving us Randy Arozarena for a few years, but he got traded off to Seattle, and we miss him. But,
and we got Matthew Libator, one of our top pitchers now, is from the Rays. And opening day weekend is going to be
Cardinals
Tampa Bay Rays, St. Louis Cardinals. So we have already talked about maybe trying to do a little road trip. Yeah.
I've not been to the new Cardinal Stadium. I've been to the Old Busch. When I was a student at Mizzou, we went over and watched. It was actually a playoff game when the Giants and the Cardinals were in the NLCS. And we were upper deck, right field. I mean, Barry Bonds looked like an ant. We were so far away from the plate, but it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so I'd love to go to the new Busch. That'd be great.
They call it baseball heaven for a reason, Brandt.
I thought that was Iowa.
Well, the cornfields.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, enough baseball.
Yes.
Excited for baseball to get going. March is one of the best months for sports fans. So just my friends and I back home, we're all messaging of it's March Madness. Right. The Masters is starting. This is in March. Baseball gets going, cranking up after trade deadlines for baseball and basketball, hockey and basketball. Is what I meant to say. So yeah, lots going on. for those who like sports. If you don't, sorry.
That's right.
We talk about it a lot. Okay, Giving Day. Before we
Yes.
get into trends and some other things that are happening, I think we just want to start talking about Giving Day. So when is Giving Day? What is Giving Day? And for those who are inclined to learn more, what should they know?
Yeah, so in 2024, we brought back an annual Giving Day. We hadn't had one for a few years, and we kind of rebranded it. We call it SBUnited. SBUnited 2026 Giving Day is this coming Thursday, March 12th, which also happens to coincide with the birth of Maupin. I think it was Maupin, one of our two founders. I believe his birthday is March 12th as well. So that's kind of a happy coincidence. For this being the third year in a row, what we've really seen is growing interest in supporting SBU through that Giving Day. So our first year, our goal was to match the last Giving Day in 2021, which was about $40,000 in gifts. And we got almost $80,000 in gifts. Yeah. And then last year, our goal was $150,000, and the Lord blessed us with $171,000. So we more than doubled the 2024 number. This year, our goal is $200,000 in gifts and 250 donors. And we're really excited about the momentum. I mean, the word momentum is a theme that just keeps coming up, whether we're talking about enrollment or we're talking about giving this year. The Lord is really blessing SBU with momentum, with wind in our sails. And we've certainly seen that on the giving side.
Yeah, and we've been excited just on our end to watch. I think was last year the first time we did the map, or did we do the map 2 years ago too?
We did the map two years ago as well. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that's just such a fun part of a Giving Day is you can go to the website and just track. Okay, where are the gifts coming in?
Right.
Well, how much is coming from different places? Right. I like to watch. I'm like, hey, are we close to a threshold that we can kind of kick it over? Who wants to be the person to get us over $100,000 or get us over $200,000 in gifts? I mean, it's just sort of a fun piece. And we really involve the whole campus. We get students involved. We get faculty and staff involved. Our board gets involved. Right. And your team does a great job of sort of making it all hands on deck for that day.
Right. That's so true. And that's what we're seeing across the board amongst some of our key constituencies is either renewed interest in giving or interest in giving more than we've had in the past. And we're incredibly grateful for that.
Yeah. I teased one of the things we're combining from the admissions side this year. Every year we tend to offer something like this, but we've never combined it with Giving Day. So students to commit to SBU for the next incoming class pay a deposit, which is typically a $200 deposit. That gets them ready to do housing forms and get their class schedules put together. Throughout the spring, typically we'll offer every once in a while a half deposit. So, hey, if you pay $100 today, we'll consider you deposited. And it's not a fee. It goes toward their bill. So there's no disadvantage to the people who've paid $200 because it's all going to come off their bill at the end. But it's just a little way to help maybe tip people over that have been waiting and just haven't made that payment yet. So we're going to do a half deposit day and campaign the same day as Giving Day. Prospective students and families are going to be aware of Giving Day because we're going to make them aware of this half deposit campaign, and just have it another thing that makes it sort of a big across the campus type of thing. So we're excited for that to see what that can do, and that we'll talk in a little bit too. We'll hopefully continue the momentum we're seeing on the enrollment side too for next fall. So you touched on a little bit momentum and giving. In our giving for this year, what's it look like? What have we been seeing?
So year to date, overall giving is up 16% over last year. Now, we still have a couple of months left in our fiscal year, which ends on May 31st. But right now, it would be up 16% year over year. And last year, we were up over the prior year is a great sense of momentum for us. We're up 5% in our total donors. Now, this is giving to everything and anything, restricted giving, giving to endowed scholarships, unrestricted giving, all of that is up 16% in dollars, 5% in the number of donors. And part of what we're really excited about is that more donors from last year giving again this year are giving larger gifts than they gave last year.
That's great.
So they're not only coming back and saying, yes, I want to keep supporting SBU, but they're saying, I'm in for even more. Here, I want to support SBU even stronger this year. Now, when we talk about our unrestricted annual scholarship fund giving, which is really the focus of SBUnited, although we will count every gift of any size to any designation. It all helps SBU. It all helps our students. But our unrestricted annual scholarship fund giving, that is up 55% year over year. And the number of donors to our annual scholarship fund is up 32%. And let me just add this too. One of the things that truly excites my heart is that we are seeing growth in the across some real key constituencies for us. So the dollars and the number of donors from our alumni, from parents of past and current students, from our faculty, from our trustees, from retirees, from just friends of the university, across all of those groups, we're seeing more donors and more dollars than we have seen last year or in prior years. So we are actually, there's still a couple of months left, but we are seeing a trajectory right now where we could see the strongest giving, not just in unrestricted giving, but in overall giving, strongest giving that SBU has seen in the last 5, perhaps 10 years. There's a lot to shake out yet. Yeah. But that's the kind of momentum. When we say momentum, that's the kind of momentum we're celebrating and thanking God for, because it's truly His grace, His provision that is bringing that our way.
So I'm going to double click on that.
Yeah.
Very real potential for our most giving, our biggest giving year, and potentially a decade with how things are trending for this year. I mean, that's just amazing. To see that come back. And, COVID was such a disruption for lots of people and for us too. So that's a kind of a blip in it, but you start going back a decade. I mean, that's pre-COVID, and to start to see some of these trends get above that, I mean, it's just so encouraging.
Right. Yeah, it really is.
So kudos to, I mean, you and your team, absolutely. And you're right. It's all the Lord's provision and doing it and working through all of us. I think we all have a hand in it at different parts of campus, because there are so many relationships and connections that get built not just through the advancement office. I mean, it's coaches know somebody, a student knows somebody, and someone in town knows somebody. And the more we expand that, the more it comes through.
Well, I often say that everybody on campus, everybody that's a part of our campus community, and even our alumni, we're all part of the fundraising advancement work of the college ultimately, and we're also all part of the enrollment, because the relationships that we have, the ways that we advocate for SBU, the ways that we talk about how we're proud to be a part of the SBU family, or as alumni, we're proud to be graduates of SBU. Here's the difference that SBU made in my life. The more that we share that, the more it's going to help in our recruitment, and the more it's going to also help in energizing people and the Lord stirring their hearts to say, that vision, that mission, that's something I need to be a part of.
Yeah, and we are very proud to see the trend too of 100% trustee giving this last year. Cabinet, we all give to what's happening. So just from the leadership of the university on down is this commitment to, like, we are going to support the mission that we're doing. We're not just doing our job here and collecting a paycheck. We're actively giving to the work that's happening. So that's huge. Part of what you all are doing that ties into giving, not necessarily giving day, but broadly giving, is our campus master plan and capital campaigns that are potentially down the road from that. So is there an update on both of those things that are tied together, the master plan, which we've talked about before, and campaigns tied to it?
So last year, we announced after the April board meeting in 2025 that the Board of Trustees had approved a new campus master plan, which is a really long-term effort. I mean, it's going to take well over a decade for us to fully realize the plans that we have, which includes some renovations, it includes some new building projects on campus, it includes some new residence life buildings on campus, which are much needed, those kinds of things. Well, that plan was put into place. So this year has been a year of planning for that. And so we are preparing some ideas for what would be the first capital campaign of probably, several over time that will help us fully realize that plan. And so we've been going through the process this year of determining what we believe would be the most important, highest impact, near-term priorities to start towards fulfilling that plan. And we'll be updating the Board of Trustees on those priorities here this coming April. And then in the coming months, we'll be doing an RFP process to find a partner externally to help us do what's called a feasibility study and talk with our alumni and donors about those priorities and just gauge whether or not we're thinking right about those priorities in general and also some of the target costs for those priorities. That will result then in the development of a full comprehensive capital campaign that we would then be getting approved by the trustees next year and starting to do some early fundraising for.
So someone who is interested in learning more or participating or maybe even giving lead gifts for things like that, what would you encourage them to do for someone who's in that position?
Well, raise your hand and let us know. I mean, right. You can reach out to our advancement office. You can reach out to myself, Brad Sollard, our Director of Development, Dr. Melson. Really just contact somebody and let us know, hey, I am interested in learning more. Obviously, we have a lot of work to do to make that case and articulate why we think these priorities are important and will have a huge impact on the student experience. But most importantly, when we talk about building new buildings, it's not the building itself that we're really trying to accomplish. It's what happens in those buildings, the life transformation, the faithful Christ-centered student experience here at SBU. Those buildings enable all of that to happen.
Yep.
So raise your hand. Let us know that you're interested to know more. You would like to know more, and we'll put you on our radar, and we'll be in touch and follow up with you.
Yeah, I like the turn of phrase that we've used in our meetings. I can't remember if it was Dr. Melson or someone else who talked about it first, but facilities should facilitate something.
That's right.
So there's an intent with every building that we build or
That's
renovate.
Right.
And there's something they should be facilitating. That's why we call them a facility. So it's just,
exactly.
I like playing on words as a
great
former journalist. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I like
that's
how
a
that
great
clicks.
way to articulate it. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's good. So anything else on Giving Day or giving in general you'd want to wrap up on? I do think we popped up the QR code and link for people in case they wanted to know how to participate in Giving Day. We'll put that up again. But anything else you'd want to wrap up on those things?
No, just one other thing to touch on, and that is just explaining again the difference between restricted and unrestricted giving and why both are really important for SBU. When someone gives for a restricted purpose, we are bound by that gift and our stewardship of that gift for the donor to make sure that we use that gift in the specific way in which it's restricted. And that is super helpful for us to be able to do things above and beyond what our operating budget is every year. Unrestricted giving is also incredibly important because as we budget every year, and this is every institution, public and private, does this. When they rely on supporters and contributions to help fund operating expenses with unrestricted gifts. Essentially, the donor is saying, use it where it's needed most. Mm-hmm. And it does a number of things for us. It funds areas of campus that are not supported by tuition. And in doing so, it also constrains the expenses that we have to charge to students. So unrestricted giving helps every student every year.
Yep.
And it also helps us with our annual scholarship fund to strengthen the kind of financial aid that we can provide to the students who need it most. So your gift in an unrestricted way to the annual scholarship fund to SBUnited Giving Day is what allows us then to make sure that we improve access to a Christ-honoring, Christ-centered educational experience that transforms lives, like mine when I was here and graduated in 1993, a few years ago.
That's great. Yep. I mean, unrestricted giving, so important. But to your point, there are so many things that restricted gifts can serve, and we love those. But the unrestricted really allows us to facilitate the whole mission of the university that is always ongoing. So you talked about students and incoming students, and we're offering lots of scholarship dollars every year to new and returning students. And as we talk about the student body and enrollment trends and enrollment growth, there are a few exciting things I wanted to just touch on, which has been a few episodes since we've really touched on enrollment numbers. And so for those who don't know kind of the enrollment cycle and the way even that we're structured, we do have start dates every 8 weeks. But our big start dates are the fall, August, and then winter, January. That's when kind of the big chunks of students start on the Bolivar campus, start on the Springfield campus, and just typically when even non-traditional students think of starting a program, even though we have a start date coming up this Monday on March 9th, for instance, but that's not like the typical that people would start an online course. It's just, it offers more flexibility. So when we look at our trends, we tend to look at fall term and spring term and compare them year over year. And then we have we call a census date when we take stock after add drop of how many students are actually enrolled. So when we did census for the spring of 2026, it's up, and you communicated this in the alumni newsletter that went out this week when we were sharing some numbers, up 7% over spring of 2025. So spring of 2026, 2,011 students, which is 7% higher than spring of 2025. And it's the fourth consecutive year over year term that we've had increased enrollment. So like what does that mean? That means that fall of 2024 was more than fall of 23. Spring of 25 was more than spring of 24. Fall of 25 was more than fall of 24. Spring of 26 was more spring of 25. So basically every fall and spring, we're seeing an increase over the previous fall or spring, which is great. I mean, that's the trend you want to see when we've had, and when we've had years where that's been the opposite, going back to COVID and a little before, and when many institutions have had a challenge maintaining enrollment. So we're thrilled with that. And that includes all students, all campuses, all programs. But then what I'm spending almost all my time on and excited about are the trends we're still seeing for next fall for Bolivar undergraduate and some of our other programs as well. But for Bolivar undergraduate, we're still way up in applications in admitted students. We're over 700 applications ahead of where we were this time last year, which, for a reminder, that was the fourth consecutive year of freshman enrollment growth. We're trending again for another year of the Bolivar campus freshman enrollment growth. We have over 380 more admitted students. And then deposited numbers were flat, but kind of the caveat in that is a lot of our students are athletes, and the athletic rosters are kind of capped at what they want to carry athletic rosters. And another great thing that we've seen happen this fall to spring is we've retained a lot more of our student athletes, meaning more students who are here in the fall are still staying in the spring on athletic programs. So what that translates to for a fall class is we don't have to recruit as many new athletes because we're keeping who's already here. Which is great. So we're super thrilled with what our coaches are doing, and Clark Shehai and the athletic department. So that means we don't have to have as many new athletes in the fall, but we are seeing an increase in the non-athletes that we're recruiting and coming for next fall. So that includes students that are in music, our new club sports, pickleball and esports, and then just general academic students coming to major in computer science or education or ministry. So that's a lot that I'm saying. I don't know if you had.
Well, in an age of the transfer portal and everything too, I think on the athletic side, part of what I really believe that is indicating for us is that we're recruiting student athletes that are a great fit for SBU, and that they're having such a great experience here that we're seeing a decline in transfer portal numbers, and the fact that we're retaining them is just, I think, a strong indication, as well as the work that we're doing, generally speaking, on retention year over year of all of our student body. We're seeing some really encouraging progress there as well. So I think it speaks to the larger issue of what we're doing to strengthen the core student experience, to be true to our mission, and to communicate that with clarity, not only to our current student body, but to prospective students as well. I'm also really encouraged, Brandt, too. I know you shared this with the cabinet and the faculty and staff recently, but our numbers are really looking good in our own backyard too. I think you said the number of admits from just the Bolivar area is more than triple from last year.
Yeah, I mean, to give you specific numbers on it, Bolivar High School, fall 2025, so last year's class, at this time we had 5 admitted students from Bolivar High School. Right now we have 16, which is amazing. We had 5 admitted students from Nixa High School this time last year. We have 12 now. We had 6 from Lebanon, which is just about 30, 40 minutes east of us. This year we have 11. Ozark High School, just south of Springfield, went from 8 to 10. So a lot of our, like you said, backyard schools, we're seeing much more interest in not just general interest, but committed interest in,
Right.
in taking steps to come in the fall than we've seen in the past.
So one thing I would want our alumni and our donors, or those of you who might even be thinking and praying about whether or not you would be supporting us financially, to know is that we really, for the average cost of attendance, your team has been great about communicating this to prospective students. We are incredibly competitive with even some of the public institutions in our backyard, but also private institutions. When we look at those numbers, we're seeing that we're right there as far as being one of the most competitive, low cost to attend institutions in the area. And you couple that with just a great Christ-centered experience.
Right.
And I think that's what makes SBU special. It's why, my wife and I, that reflects the kind of experience that we had at SBU 30 plus years ago, and some of our daughters have experienced as well.
Yeah, if you just kind of think, what's the value lifetime of a Christ-centered education? So you can go to Missouri State, you can go to Mizzou, you can get a degree in business and do well in business and get the principles of business understood and be prepared in that sense. If you come to SBU, you're going to get those same business principles, be prepared that same way, but it's going to be undergirded, strengthened, have a foundation of a Christ-centered worldview, which we had Dr. Troy Bethards, the dean of our business school, on a webinar with prospective students just a week ago. And he was talking about one of my favorite things I've heard him talk about is scarcity and abundance within the economics context. But then you put that through the biblical framework, like, why do we have scarcity? Well, it's because of the fall, because we're in a fallen world, which when you were in the garden, there was no scarcity. When God created the heavens and the earth, and Adam and Eve had everything that they wanted. And then the fall, sin has created scarcity, which then economics is helping to solve the scarcity problem. So you go into a field like that with a worldview undergirded with this idea of, I'm trying to fix God's creation with the fall of mankind and sin, and this career, this vocation, I can see how it fits within this God worldview. And so you come here and get that. And when we look at the average of total net cost, when all aid is considered across all sources, we're within $1,000 or $2,000 of a Missouri State or a Mizzou, and in many cases cheaper than a Mizzou.
Right.
And so for families that are thinking about that, like, okay, is it worth? And for someone, maybe it's not. But I think we feel very comfortable making the case that if we're within, a couple $1,000s for what you're going to get here for many, many families, that's a worthwhile investment to seriously consider.
And that's the message I want our alumni and donors to know, is that your giving, whether it's restricted or unrestricted, is making what you just described possible.
Yep.
It's your support is helping us to be very competitive in cost to attend, which just opens up access to kids who are looking for that Christ-centered educational experience that prepares them not just for a career, but for a life worth living for the Lord, and a life of impact through their chosen career, through the chosen path of study that they experience while they're here at SBU. We just posted a video on Facebook and Instagram the other day of students coming out of chapel and answering the question, how has SBU impacted me? And two of them really stood out to me because they talked about how they found their calling in life or in ministry while at SBU. And one young lady said, I have discovered my purpose, and it's not what I thought it was going to be, but it's what God has for me, and so it's the best. And she discovered that purpose through relationship with faculty, staff, and her classmates. And boy, that just thrills my heart when I hear students say that, because that just tracks with what a lot of us alumni have experienced here at SBU through the decades as well, through over 148 years now.
That's why we do what we do.
That's why we do what we do.
I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah.
So, Leon, thank you again for all the work that you guys are doing, getting ready for Giving Day. It's coming up Thursday, March 12th. So put it on the calendar. Get in touch with the advancement office if you're interested in maybe getting some gifts put in ahead of time, or I know matching gifts is something that we're looking forward to being able to offer this year. If anyone's interested in helping
Yes,
to do
thank
matching
you for
gifts.
reminding me. We actually, thanks to some very generous alumni, we have actually over $100,000 in matching gift dollars available. So your gift will be doubled. Almost every gift, if not every gift, will be doubled by those very generous alumni. So we're extremely grateful for their support. And you can go to the QR code that we'll be putting up on the screen if you're watching this, but you can also go to advance.sbuniv.edu/SBUnited. And that will take you to the tracking page. It's live right now, even though we're not tracking gifts, but you can give an early gift through that page. And then you can come back to that page during Giving Day and after to see the progress that God blesses us with. So please join us, track with us. We'll be all over Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I was going to say, follow all of our social media because you guys will do updates as it's going along. Yep.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, thank you all again for listening. Thank you for giving or considering giving. And thank you for always keeping SBU in your thoughts and your prayers and your hearts and helping students find their way here as well. And I think it's a good place to stop.
Yep. Go Bearcats and go Cardinals.